The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, welcome. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. If you cannot or you're having any issues seeing the presentation, please let me know using the chat feature of the GoToWebinar control panel. We're going to get started here. My name is Ben Silverstein, Director of Technology for Endian Americas. We're going to be talking about some new features that have been being added in the process of being added to the Endian UTM security feature stack. Specifically the Panda Antivirus, the new Panda Antivirus engine, and the SafeSearch feature. So this presentation is going to talk about that. I have made the presentation available within the handout section. So if you can see the handout section in the GoToWebinar menu, there should be a PDF file, which is this presentation. So for those of you who want to download that to keep for your records or be able to go back and reference it in the future, feel free to take that with you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. The presentation is not all that long. We're going to talk about these two features. We'll do a quick demonstration of the SafeSearch. And then at the end, I'll try and come back and answer all the questions that I can. Other than that, let's go ahead and get started. So like I said, we have two of the main topics. These are the primary things being released for things that are being upgraded or added to the security feature list of Endian. So we have an all-new Panda Antivirus engine. So we've had Panda available within our advanced content security package for a while now. We're pleased that Panda is actually releasing an all-new version of their engine. The highlights really are this new cloud-based intelligence that's behind the new Panda Antivirus. So it's really a shift in the way in which the antivirus engine works. It's less reliant on signatures that are on the Endian and more reliant on real-time data that's being accumulated from within this Panda Antivirus cloud-based intelligence. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. The primary benefit and one of the big selling points of this huge upgrade for the Panda Antivirus engine is the zero-day threat protection. So this really gives you the ability to be protected against anything that might outbreak or anything that's and we'll talk a little bit more about zero-day threats for those that aren't familiar with that terminology. But zero-day threats is really something that gives you the ability to block even new types of malware, viruses, things like that. And some big improvements, obviously, with this new engine in terms of the sheer number of files that are recognizable, and the types and the number of patterns in which the new antivirus engine can detect all different types of malware and be able to update your Endian appliance to be able to recognize those on the fly as well. So this is the cloud intelligence, kind of a diagram illustrating what we're talking about. And so essentially what you have is this global cloud analysis engine that Panda has developed that is looking at everything that Panda can see in terms of their desktop antivirus clients that are out there, their OEM stuff. Everything is kind of being everything can go up to the cloud, be analyzed, and then all of that data is kind of shared, and then everybody gets to benefit from it, right? So as they see new types of malware, new types of threats, they can develop signatures in real time or as soon as real time as possible and be able to push out those updates to all of their clients out there. So Endian obviously being one of those now with the new engine being added to our system. And so we'll keep talking a little bit more about this, but again, it's really just this ability to kind of globally have this collective intelligence and be able to analyze, billions and trillions and whatever numbers of viruses and malware and things that are forming out there, because as we know, it's constantly evolving, it's constantly changing. There's always new types of threats. And so Panda can get a much bigger picture of that now and be able to share that data with everyone and be able to push out updates immediately to be able to stop these types of things in real time. So 0-day, for those who aren't familiar, of course, anybody who's in security probably already knows this, but just kind of a refresher. So a 0-day vulnerability is more or less a flaw in software, usually. Could also be hardware potentially, but typically it's a flaw that's found in software that's unknown to the vendor. And so a 0-day attack essentially is exploiting a 0-day vulnerability. That means that someone develops an attack method to take advantage of that vulnerability before the vendor has had any opportunity to patch that vulnerability, since the vendor most likely either didn't know or didn't recognize the importance of the vulnerability. So these are becoming more and more common. And you see new types of 0-day attacks coming out all the time. We'll talk a little bit more about that. So 0-day protection is what the new Panda Antivirus engine is really able to provide with that global cloud intelligence. So real-time recognition, detection of all types of malware, right? Not too long ago, the crypto locker thing was a big deal. It was a new form of malware called ransomware that essentially locked users' files and it made people have to pay a ransom in order to unlock the files and give access to their stuff. And it was a big deal. Anyone who was around security then obviously was familiar with it. So things like that, which people were not expecting, antivirus makers didn't really have a whole lot of answers. They had to develop signatures for stuff like that. It took a long time, and so CryptoLocker was a big deal because it was able to spread so fast, and because of the amount of damage it was able to cause in terms of people not being prepared with being locked out of their files. And so obviously this is a big, being able to see things like this or recognize the next iteration of malware, and being able to push that out in real time and be able to have your Endian devices be able to pick that up and be able to block those types of things across the network. So obviously 0-day protection, the big benefit is stopping the threats, right? Hopefully before it ever even hits your network. But even if it does hit your network, at least you have the updates there and you can detect it and be able to take action immediately versus kind of sitting there and waiting for the vendor to develop some kind of a signature update for it. So gone are the days, hopefully, of having to wait for your signature updates to be able to prevent these types of things. And of course, it being cloud-based intelligence, there's also a lot of device and network performance improvements as well within this new Panda antivirus engine. So that's another big benefit as well. So just some of the numbers that the new Panda antivirus engine, 300 million patterns within their database, which is a huge jump over some of the previous versions. 99.9% virus detection, according to an independent antivirus analysis website, AV Comparative, which was number one at the time of that ranking with all the other antivirus products out on the market. So 99.9%, that's virtually everything. Over 400 million files recognized, and that number is growing, every second of every day because of the constant collection of data that's going on within this cloud intelligence engine. So some really huge and impressive statistics. And the new antivirus engine is getting a lot of praise. It's being recognized as a leading product within the field, and I know it's something that Panda's really proud of. So Endian is also, very excited to have the Panda product within our antivirus for the antivirus component of our solution within the UTM. You look at within UTM specifically in terms of the antivirus protection rate, some of the other vendors that are out there, and we're not gonna name names, but this new Panda antivirus engine really gives us an even more competitive advantage. For those of you that don't know, the advanced content security also includes some other leading vendor products from Siren, which was formerly CommTouch, and some of their products also are extremely competitive. Number one in the field against other UTM competitors, well, in terms of the UR filtering database size and the spam detection engine as well. So Panda obviously is a great fit within this space because their product is a leading product within the space. So you can see there the antivirus protection rate and how Endian with the new Panda Antivirus engine obviously benefits from that with the 99.9%. And on the right-hand side, we have just a few of the many awards that Panda is racking up with their new product. So again, a really good match, we think, with our UTM portfolio and the products that we sell, and having Panda be a part of that with the antivirus detection engine is a great fit. So unfortunately, we don't really have a way to demonstrate the antivirus today. So even if we did, there's not much of a to see other than nothing, right? So if it detects as antivirus, obviously it's going to block it. For those that aren't familiar with the antivirus capabilities within Endian, so antivirus within Endian is network-based, right? So it's not something that's run on the client. It's something that's running on the Endian that can scan HTTP, SMTP, HTTPS, SMTPS, as well as FTP traffic and POP3 traffic as well. So for those protocols going across the network, if Endian is routing those protocols across it, if you're routing those protocols through the Endian, if the Endian is the gateway for those protocols, then Endian can detect the virus signatures across the network and be able to block the viruses within that network traffic. So it's network-based antivirus, which is a great complement, obviously, to host-based antivirus, which everyone should be running as well. All right, so we'll talk about the next component of the feature release, which is a feature called SafeSearch. So we're calling the feature itself SafeSearch Enforcement. Essentially, what you can do with SafeSearch Enforcement is easily provide web filtering within the search engines, right? So a big kind of gap within web filtering, especially on the network layer, has always been, well, I can block the stuff that I know about in terms of URLs and domains, but users can get around that by just going to the search engines and searching for what they want to see, and being able to see those results directly within the search engine and not being able to filter that. So that's where SafeSearch Enforcement comes in. So SafeSearch Enforcement gives network administrators the ability to essentially extend their acceptable use policies even across the search engine sites which are supported. So even if a user goes to Google or Bing or whatever and tries to search for something that's inappropriate or malicious or whatever, you can still force safe search, which will essentially mean that the user can't see what they're trying to get to. They can't turn off safe search from within the search engine. So safe search is really something that's built into the search engine, and essentially what Endian is doing with safe search enforcement is forcing safe search to be turned on at all times. The user cannot turn it off. The user cannot go in and manipulate it. It will always be forced on for those search engines that you have it turned on for. So currently we support these five search engines: Google, Bing, Yahoo, Yandex, and DuckDuckGo. And of course, we'll be adding a lot more search engines as well. These are, I think, count for like 90% of the web search traffic that's out there. So this is a pretty good start, if you ask me. And of course, it'll be getting better and better over time. So because the way in which we have safe search enforcement technology put into the Endian, it makes it very easy to extend it to other search engines as well. So in terms of why would you use safe search, especially with Endian, again, providing that consistent network-wide enforcement of acceptable use policies, especially within those segments that are more sensitive to inappropriate content with, like, for example, educational things like that, where you have to make sure that all of your users are protected from and have your acceptable use policies enforced, even across search engines. You don't want kids to be shown something, even if it's inadvertent. Even if they're not really looking for inappropriate content. A lot of times, search engines will return inappropriate content. So you want to be able to automatically enforce this safe search capability, automatically force that to be turned on, so that way your users are protected. And of course, doing it at the network gateway level with Endian eliminates a lot of the management overhead, if you will, in terms of having to create a group policy that changes the browser settings to force it, or going to Google and trying to turn it on for a domain or whatever. Eliminate all of this administrative nightmare of trying to manage that manually, and just have it kind of forced on through the proxy settings of your Endian. Since it's sitting at the gateway and doing all of your web filtering anyways, this is a really convenient place to just go ahead and turn that feature on and not have to leave it up to your users or have your server admins have to manage those things. And then, of course, another great thing is the way in which Endian implemented SafeSearch, which we'll look at here when we do the demonstration, makes it really easy to toggle SafeSearch on and off to be able to kind of granularly define different policies. So especially if you're using authentication within the Endian or segmenting your networks, things like that, you can actually create different policies where certain users or certain groups of users or certain networks, you can have safe search policies applied to them and turn it off for others. For example, in educational, you could turn it on for students and teachers, and maybe you don't need it for admins or IT staff or whatever. You can turn it on and off as you see fit using the different policy management capabilities of Endian. So that makes it really versatile to define your acceptable use policies exactly the way you want. So kind of a use case example of safe search enforcement. It's a really big topic, especially within education or childcare. So when you think of education, that's grade school all the way up to college, university level, and then childcare is has a whole bunch of different sub industries within it in terms of daycares and all those types of things. Those types of places, obviously, safe search becomes more critical, especially because there's a lot of regulations around that space as well. So first and foremost, safe search can kind of protect your young adults and your kids in terms of their browsing. So feel a lot more confident about their ability to use the internet in a safe way without getting access to inappropriate content, whether it's on purpose or accidentally. Again, be able to create separate policies for your different classes of users, teachers, administrators, students, even your visitors or your guests, have different search policies applied to them as well. And as I mentioned before, in terms of regulations that exist within this space, there's quite a few. Like in the United States, there's a regulation called the Child Internet Protection Act, which essentially is an act that kind of mandates that schools or educational systems implement products that are able to do things like forcing safe search across the web traffic, being able to kind of make sure that, again, kids, minors are protected from, in terms of their search results and stuff like that. So being able to have a universal acceptable use policy that's applied for all traffic, including your search results as well. So that's just one example. I'm sure globally there's a lot of regulation that exists that's very similar to something like that. So having this capability obviously helps you to meet and or exceed government regulations like this. You have a product that you can sell into the educational space and say, yeah, it does safe search enforcement, and it's very granular in how you implement, and it's powerful and all that stuff. So we'll take a look quickly at the safe search enforcement piece of Endian. So first thing we'll do is look at a demo machine here. Hopefully everybody can see that. So for those of you who've used Endian, this will be a very familiar and a very simple exercise. For those that haven't, we're not going to go into too much background in terms of what we're doing. I'm not going to start over and try to teach you Endian, but you'll get the idea real quick. So under your web filtering policy section now, for any profile that you create, whether it's a new profile or the existing profile, you'll have a new component, and that is the safe search piece, right? So essentially you have all these 5 search engines that now are configurable within a given policy. So again, we can create different policies, maybe one policy for our teachers and a different policy for our students that allows us to turn safe search on or off for various search engines. So for those that we want to turn safe search on, make sure that it's always forced on, we can just click the plus, or we can always just add them all if we want to do them all. And now safe search will be turned on, will be enforced for all of these search engines for this profile. And so for this profile, we just have a very generic example here where we're going to look at a demonstration of a machine that's behind this Endian device that's being forced through the safe search using the web proxy. Another benefit of the safe search technology with Endian that wasn't brought up in the slides, but it's worth mentioning, because Endian does the HTTPS inspection as well, that is something that is enforced as well. So you're able to enforce safe search across HTTP and HTTPS. There are other UTM products out there that do not do HTTPS safe search enforcement, or they're not able to do HTTPS inspection for that matter. So that is a big feature advantage for Endian as well, being able to enforce safe search across the search engines, whether it's SSL encrypted with for HTTPS or just regular HTTP. And given that most of the search engines, especially like Google, are forcing by default force it to SSL to HTTPS, not having the ability to enforce safe search across that would be a big gap in terms of having the feature there but not being able to use it, because Google is automatically redirecting users to HTTPS. So something definitely to keep in mind in terms of a feature advantage, and the fact that, again, it's a seamless policy, right? So it doesn't matter whether the user goes to an HTTP or HTTPS search engine, it's going to have safe search turned on no matter what. So just a quick example of, we have a Windows machine here that's behind this Endian that we were showing you for the safe search. And we're not going to do any illicit searches in Google just to keep it easy, but we're just going to show you that, if we do an image search in Google, we'll just say Endian, that safe search is turned on. So we see that here in the right box, that safe search is turned on. And additionally, if we go into our search settings, let's say we say, hey, we don't want safe search turned on, we're a user trying to turn it off so that we can get to something we shouldn't be able to. I'll click save, and then I'll refresh this search again, and again, it will safe search is forced on, right? So no matter what the user tries to override with their browser settings, the safe search will always be forced on for this user. And that's true for any user that falls within this profile that we've defined for within the system that we were demonstrating. So this would be true within all those browsers that we had defined here. So whether it's Google, Yahoo, Bing, Yandex, or DuckDuckGo, we have this safe search enforcement turned on for all of them. So that's safe search. And at this point, I will open it up for questions. One thing I will say is that these 2 features are being released together for Endian. They're not out in terms of, like, today you can't go and download them, but these are the 2 features that are going to be released here imminently within the next few weeks, I believe. I don't know if we have a specific target date for them, but it's something that's going to be released here very soon. And so when that update is put out, you'll get both the brand new Panda Antivirus engine and the safe search enforcement feature automatically. And of course, for all of our Endian users who have ACS included with their or have purchased Endian with the ACS or have purchased ACS separately, you will all get all of these features for no additional charge. It's all included with the maintenance of Endian. So with that being said, I'll open it up for questions on anything that we've talked about here, and then we'll wrap it up. There's a question about in terms of the type of performance hit users will see regarding the Panda Antivirus engine and the SafeSearch if they're turned on. SafeSearch really has no effect on in terms of making it better or worse in terms of web throughput. So the web throughputs that we have listed on our hardware appliances, still apply with SafeSearch technology. Essentially, all of that is kind of handled automatically and transparently, and there's no additional load, so to speak, applied to the web traffic in order to turn this feature on or utilize this feature. In terms of the Panda Antivirus, I don't have any of the raw numbers, but I do know that it was a pretty significant performance improvement just within the engine itself. I know that even previously, though, the network throughput performance numbers of antivirus inspection of the network traffic was very strong with the Panda Antivirus engine. So so what I've been told is that it's as good or better with the new Panda Antivirus engine. Any other questions? Hopefully you all learned something new, or at least got the opportunity to see something in terms of being able to prepare yourself for these new feature releases. For those of you joining, we do have a promotional as a thank you for following along with the webinar. So you do get a bonus discount offer if you were to purchase using this promo code. So MTI3 is the promo code, so make note of that. If you want to be able to get in touch with your local Endian salesperson, you can go to our website, endian.com, and under the company menu, there's a contact us link. You can see that URL down at the bottom of this page, and you'll see all of the offices and the numbers for those offices. So find your nearest office there and give us a call or shoot us an email, fill out the form. There's a lot of different ways to get in touch with us. But that's just a promotional offer that we have as a thank you for those of you attending, staying with us. So we have a few more questions. If I'm not sure what the question is in terms of does the search engine work via the proxy? So if you could maybe clarify your question there, I'm not really sure what you're asking. But in terms of the SafeSearch in general, as long as your users are going through the Endian as the proxy, whether it's transparent or non-transparent, I believe the SafeSearch enforcement will be applied. So obviously, it's up to the administrator to define the appropriate policies to make sure that all the web traffic is forced through the web proxy and not being bypassed in other ways. Any other questions before we wrap it up? If you have questions, obviously, after the webinar, just feel free to shoot us an email or contact us to get in touch to find out about this stuff. All right, so if I don't see any other questions, I don't want to take up any more of anyone's time. So thank you very much again for everyone for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed it, and we wish you all the best. And have a great start of the week. Have a great week, everybody. And I'm sure we'll be talking soon. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.